Hi, my name is Sandy Carter. I'm IBM's Vice President for Social Business Evangelism, and welcome to our Social Business Coffee Break. Hopefully you've grabbed a cup of coffee and you're ready to go on our first trend that's really making an impact on business that involves social, big data, and analytics. So let's go ahead and get started. This trend, we're going to do a five countdown. So number 5 is the power of social sharing. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you think about it, when I went to school, what was I measured on? What was really important? Well, I was measured on memorizing information. And in fact, the more information I knew, the higher my grades were, right? Because I had accumulated all this information. Today is a different day. Today it's based on how much information I share. Am I viewed as an expert? Am I viewed others can trust me for the content that I possess? That expertise is such a huge metric to judge talent by, to judge value by in today's environment. So the question is, how are you moving to this new environment of social sharing? How do you provide awards? How do you look at your business differently? How do you recognize an expert, and how do you recognize who can be trusted? You know, a lot of people assume that trust comes from lots of people following someone. And in fact, recently a study was done with the United Nations trying to find out about the Egyptian crisis. Who had the most impact, the most influence, the most trust in that particular area? Their premise, the person with the most followers. But you know what? That turned out not to be true, because the person with the most followers who was tweeting about Egypt was actually Justin Bieber. But he didn't have a high level of influence or expertise about that topic. So where he tweeted about it, it didn't really resonate and go out in those concentric circles. But someone who had less followers but more trust and more expertise had the biggest impact. Now imagine this for your company, really understanding who those influencers are. Today, as part of IBM Connections, you can identify those influencers using social analytics as well as social, so the combination of two of those trends. You can identify who those influencers are in your customer network, in your employee network, so you know who others trust, who others view as an expert. And that is really important to your business. Why is that? Well, you know what? Discovering the value of an answer is critical. In fact, we found that through one of our companies in Europe, a German company in fact, the value of finding and answering a question by an expert 5 minutes earlier is worth 17 euro. And here you see an example of that, where a question is put out in a social network and the right people are popped up, those experts who can answer that question. Now, if you're a company, you can use this to identify gaps in your expertise, to get the question answered faster, and to do that on a mobile device. Let me show you an example. So this is a banking example, but you can imagine this in the travel industry or retail or insurance, so many possibilities. It would start with, on your mobile device, being able to look up the information that you need or your client needs. Being able to get the details and saying, I need an expert in trust, in charitable tax. I need an expert in this particular area. Out would pop from a social rating or social reputation, digital reputation, a list of those experts. Now this is pretty powerful, because then you can scan their profile and make sure that that expert is really an expert in what you need, investment tax versus maybe charitable tax. You can see the tags that are there, which are really valuable in a social world, and be able to identify gaps in that expertise that maybe you needed to grow. Then you can rate that person. Did they do a great job as an expert? Could others trust them? Are they one of my favorite experts? Much like you see today on Amazon with books, where you rate books and this person who likes this book will like another. Same type of thing with skills. But again, merging together all of those trends so that you can see social used with big data combined with analytics. Now this example I think is very powerful, because that particular person who answered that question, maybe not part of their day job, can now have an incentive and reward using gaming techniques and technology to really rate that expertise. So the first trend, knowing your experts, knowing who to trust, and providing an incentive and award for them sharing that information. My name is Sandy Carter, and this has been our Social Business Coffee Break.